This is League on Lock. Mark and Eric here with you guys. It's time to look ahead to the NALCS. We talked about TSM. We talked about Team Liquid. 100 Thieves, the darlings of the NALCS for the first, 8 months of it all, 6 to 8 months. And then all of a sudden, Medios, okay, we can get past that. We're still fans. Then Cody Sun happens. You don't even play them at Worlds. The whole PR shenanigans with the 100 Thieves. Now everyone hates them.
Hey, Drake's an owner though, so that's hey, everything's good, right?
Customized Drake little computers that they got, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's exactly the way that you handle a professional organization here.
Yeah, I mean, Drake makes everything better, right? That's false. Drake ruins.
Even if he's Canadian, it's absolutely not exactly the #1 positive. But hey, a big pop culture icon, lots of money coming into the scene. Those all seem good to me. Just a matter of how 100 Thieves chooses to utilize it, and they haven't shown us a lot of faith that they're going to utilize it properly just yet.
So the question is, what do they do with this roster heading into 2019? Because obviously they had a bit of issues in specifically that bottom lane. Not as much with play. I mean, Rikara obviously got completely destroyed in a lot of these matchups, but there's no way they can keep Cody Sun on this roster. Ryu did not have fun at the 2018 World Championship. Anda actually looked pretty good. And someday, you just felt bad watching him play these games that he was stuck with that team.
Yeah, Sunday's just typically the guy that you're just like, everyone after the game is honoring for tilt proof. Absolutely. Because you know that he's just smashing, he's winning his matchup, he's doing everything he can to help the team find a victory, and it's just too heavy, can't carry. Not enough here. But when you are talking about the 100 Thieves roster, yes, Anda did have some of those performances that we have been hoping to see from him, especially to see it at the world stage is a nice sign of improvement for him. He is someone that we have seen to have that potential to be more than he's been able to play at so far. So to see that happen on the world stage is a very good sign for 100 Thieves and leads you to want to keep him and develop him moving further into the future for next year. But when you are talking about issues with this lineup, you do have to, of course, look at the performance of Ryu in the mid lane, simply not offering you enough, whether it was domestically or in the international events, just wasn't enough for your team. And then, of course, the mess that you've had going on in the bot lane of, having success with Cody Sun in the spring split, and then whether it being attitude issues or whatever, the issues of having Cody Sun actually be part of the team in the summer split and having a debacle of your communication of it, saying that you're having Cody Sun back at the team house ready to drive in 5 minutes notice for the NALCS finals.
The Nate shot helicopter.
Yeah, come on. That is not something that's believable here. Need to have better communication. And to not even let him have a game at Worlds when you know that you're eliminated is, as far as I'm concerned, unless there's any other situation blocking that, very poor management and player treatment there from the 100 Thieves, and need to see that start to improve from this organization, which has shown us a lot of potential in the early goings of franchising.
I mean, they still had a fantastic year performance-wise, obviously, going as a second seed to Worlds and finishing top 3 in both splits during that regular season. So there's no question their performance domestically has been fantastic, and honestly, they probably performed to what you were expecting at Worlds, getting 2 wins against the really bad team in their group and the 2 teams that were expected to get out. They went 0-4 against them. So that performance, I'm not really disappointed in any sense because that's just kind of what you were expecting. But going forward into 2019, there's no way with all this drama that Cody Sun can stay on this roster. And I don't think Rikara is quite yet a starting caliber LCS player. Maybe one more split or some more time in the Academy League. But to be fair, he was just tossed into the deep end. They're saying you start in the playoffs and then you go to Worlds, man. These are your debuts. That is harsh.
Yeah, certainly not the ideal situation for a rookie to come in and get that and find that experience here. But another thing I want to mention on the 100 Thieves is that they've also done what seems to be a very poor job of managing the Levi situation. The Levi God that everybody wants to see happen on the NALCS stage. We have been seeing those pop-off performances at the academy level, and of course, yes, we did know that he wanted to be down in the academy to improve his English skills, and that seems to have happened throughout the course of this year. year, but now you've come to a point where you've got Anda showing the signs of that potential that you've been thinking that he could have before, and he's been able to do it at the world level stage. So now you're kind of left with a situation of, well, what do you do with Levi? And you've spent all this time developing him as far as in your academy roster here, and now with what it seems like that you're going to be keeping Ryu in the mid lane here, you still have not solved that problem of having too many imports for this roster to be at its optimized level.
So if we look ahead to 2019, some of the changes they can make revolving around Levi, that is the main question mark, because before it was just a given that they're going to start him eventually. Obviously, him and pretty much every other player in the LCS are exploring options. Everyone puts out that tweet, I'm still contracted, but I'll talk to other teams.
Classic.
Which, yeah, doesn't really mean anything. Everyone's tweeting that out, but you're really questioning, do we start Anda over Levi? Is Levi worth the import slot? You got to assume they're going to go for it in 2019. And some of the other changes that they need to make. We talked about the mid lane, Ryu. How about Golden Glue?
Ooh, I like that.
He's deserved an LCS starting spot. I don't know if Cloud9's willing to give him up, but does he really want to split time or spend a lot in the academy? Like, this guy deserves a start.
He seems to be pretty darn happy at Cloud9 right now, but again, never know how happy someone is with being in more of a utility, a support type of role here, maybe developing into that starter that we can see from Golden Glue. Certainly has reformed himself as a player on the NA LCS stage and deserves, I think, another chance here to be that starting mid laner for our team. Would be interesting to see him on 100 Thieves, and of course, NA residency, baby, giving you that chance to roll someday in Levi there in your top lane in jungle, and that's what everybody's been wanting to see on this roster for so long.
You do everything in your power to keep Someday on this roster. Ask him who he wants to play with. Who do you want on the roster? We'll get him for you. And when it comes to ADs, you saw Altec there. He's a free agent after getting completely hosed by Echo Fox, having no chance to find another squad. He's still an LCS caliber AD carry. He'd be an upgrade over Rikara for sure. And even someone like Piglet, he's not an import anymore.
Certainly possible, and I think when you're talking about someone like Altec, you do have to remember that his performance with Echo Fox before getting cut wasn't poor. It was okay, it was acceptable, middle of the pack in the NA LCS, and there were times that he could find success, but of course that champion pool seemed to be something that hampered his success and as well as Echo Fox, and I think that is something you do need to keep in mind if you're going to pick him up as 100 Thieves.
I'm expecting some big changes with this 100 Thieves roster heading into 2019.